I live in Ballard for like 7 years now, and it feels like nothing else, right? When you come down here, like you don't even like look around, like you don't even feel like you're in Seattle, you're in your own spot. Feels like a small town. It's got all these great shops and stuff. So yeah, let's bounce around and take a look at some stuff. So. Because we're, still in COVID or whatever, like everybody's got their outdoor seating set up, roads are closed, so you can only come down here to hang out. And this is where they would have the farmer's market too. It's besides the Pike Place market, that's a year-round market. The Ballard Farmer's Market is a year-round market too, Sundays. So in the wintertime, there's less people or whatever, but in the summer, it takes up all the streets. Like coming down to a fair every Sunday. So super cool spot. And there's tons of restaurants and bars down here. So in Ballard, one of the things that's like nationally known about Ballard is the Ballard Locks. They're just around the corner. It's kind of like the Panama Canal, where you can let ships in and out by controlling the tide in the lake and stuff. So it's a super cool thing. Really cool to check out. But one of the reasons that's here is because the channel to the sound from Lake Union lets the big ships in and out. And Ballard's one of those towns that used to be a huge fishing industry town, right? So it's kind of known as a Scandinavian village, a Scandinavian town. There used to be a ton of boat builders, a ton of net sheds, and some of the old, buildings and stuff, they still have, they're still like a fisherman's unions and those offices that do the Alaska season. A lot of those folks are still here in Ballard. It's getting less and less, but there still has those remnants here, and there's still a lot of old Scandinavian influence here in town, Norwegian and Swedish and all those influences here in town. And one of the cool things about having those elements in a city that's built up like this is you still feel nostalgic when you come through. You still see those elements of the town. And it's really just kind of fun to see, like the Ballard Locks and the Fisherman's Terminal, which is kind of shared. It's really, they say it's in Ballard, but it's really over in Inner Bay because it's on the other side of the cut. But there's a ton of that stuff down here, and everywhere you look, you see like these old placards and on all these different buildings about what the building used to be and how it's related to the fishing industry and stuff like that. So it's super fun to see all that stuff. So I wanted to pop down on the Shoal because if you ever come into Ballard, on that side of Shoal, you'll start to see like all the different fishing boats and all the different centers, and you're like, why are all these big buildings down here? It's a huge industry, the fishing industry that goes up to Alaska and even throughout the Puget Sound. But I came down here because Hattie's Hat is one of the old standbys in Ballard. You can see the backside of their building over there. There's a few restaurants and bars and restaurants in Ballard that have been around for a long time, super worth checking out. Hattie's Hat is one of them. The Salmon Bay Cafe down there, just down the street from us over here, is a hell of an establishment. It's a great cafe. Vera's used to be, for a long time, they were a diner over by Marvin's Garden, where we were earlier. They do pizza now. Ballard Sheet Metal actually built the pizza ovens, helped them build those pizza ovens like 10 years ago. So they've been working up to that for a long time. I think, I haven't checked with Doug, but I think it was like 10 years ago. But in Ballard, there's these great establishments that are, new and upcoming and super hip, and people love them. And then there's these great old standbys like Mike's Chili, and Mike's is over by the Ballard Bridge. There's the Sloop that's a little closer to the Ballard Locks. There's a Salmon Bay Cafe. There's Hattie's Hat. There's Vera's, and just a lot of great places that have been around for a long time. So I just wanted to give them a quick shout out, because if you ever come out swing this way, like, super worth it checking them out. So I've lived in Ballard for like 7 years now, and when I was a kid, I grew up down in Gig Harbor, which is South Puget Sound area, which was a fishing town when I was growing up. It's more of a yachter's town now, which is great, and that's fine. But it was definitely a lot of grumpy fishermen in Gig Harbor when I grew up. So when I was a kid, I learned about Ballard through this TV show called Almost Live. You can find some clips on YouTube. It's actually where Bill Nye got his start. So long story tolerable, they used to make fun of Ballard, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a bigger, grumpy fishing town, and I speak that language, so I know what that's like. So my whole life as a kid, I wanted to live in Ballard. So finally got up here, and I gotta tell you, the feel of this neighborhood, for me at least, it's just a it feels like its own small town. It's not as densely, the streets aren't as dense down here as you saw us walking around. It's nice and open. There's still some reasonable parking, although like it's tough to find a spot down here, but it's really nice nice area versus like Capitol Hill, which is going to be a lot more dense. You're definitely, if you're going to drive your car to meet friends in Capitol Hill, you're definitely going to run into more trouble over there just to find parking. But it's just a different feel down here. With the old fishermen, some of the folks still living around from back in the day. And so kind of the stuff that you'll find here, we're getting more and more condos in town, more and more townhouses close to Market Street, which we're just below Market here down kind of in the Ballard Ave area. The Adams neighborhood is what you'd call that. But there's a few condo buildings, some new ones being built. There's some apartment buildings down here. But more and more townhouses from 65th South, so you can find quite a bit of space still in a nice townhouse. And then there's a neighborhood called Sunset Hill, Loyal Heights, and Whittier Heights, and those are your, where you're going to find more of your single-family older homes. But like I try to explain to folks, in Seattle, there's really old homes and then there's new homes. There's not a lot of stuff in the middle because Seattle grew out from the center outward. So you're going to find a lot of 1920s, 1930s homes in this area. So Craftsmans and Tudors, some four squares from the early 1900s, late 1800s. You'll have those types of houses. And those bigger homes, those big homes, are going to be found in those neighborhoods: Sunset Hill, Loyal Heights, Whittier Heights, and then south of 65th, like I said, townhouses, newer construction. We're going to see a lot more of that. So personally, every town and every neighborhood's got its problems and stuff, but to me, Ballard is kind of that smaller town feel and just 10 minutes to downtown Seattle. I mean, that's what makes it so great, so desirable. So yeah, so I hope that makes sense. Like that's with the shops and the restaurants and everything. I mean, it's my speed. That's what I dig. So super into it. Yeah. All right, guys, appreciate you spending some time with us. Hopefully you got a kick out of the video. We're helping people move all the time in and out of the town. People from Seattle want to head south. We help them get down to North Tacoma, Bonnie Lake, and all of the folks from San Francisco and stuff. We're helping folks move into town. Wherever you're coming or going, reach out to us any way you can. Message, give me a phone call, reach out anytime. We love helping people find what they're looking for, and we can't wait to connect with you. So really appreciate you spending the time, and we'll catch you on the next one.